is removed, it can bring down the most successful government or even destroy the most successful company. And that one thing is trust. When you have trust in a relationship, especially a business relationship, you enjoy the benefits of going beyond traditional intellectual evaluation of your solution. You probably could bypass a lot of RFPs if you had a very trusted relationship before they even got issued. And if you do have trust in a relationship, you also enjoy the benefit of getting your deals done faster and at a reduced cost and generally at a higher margin. So how do you build trust in a relationship? I mean, there's some obvious things that I've put down here. Being truthful is pretty important, but it's amazing how many salespeople don't do that because they're so focused on trying to get the deal that they'll just say whatever they think the client wants to hear. And that's not a way to build a trusted relationship. Providing the best service and being reliable also seems sort of obvious, but a very high % of sales reps don't even get back to their prospect within 24 hours of having the time to actually meet with them. Probably the most important thing in terms of building trust in a business relationship is walking in your customer's shoes or your prospect, really having an understanding of what their business or their world is all about. Because most people don't wake up in the morning thinking about what they're going to buy from a sales rep during the day. They wake up or they're in the shower thinking of something about their business and how to make themselves or their business more successful. And if, as a salesperson, you can figure out what that is and you can relate to that person on their terms, you have the basis for a very strong, trusted relationship. So a lot of studies have shown that the difference between top performers in sales and everybody else is that 100% of top sales reps use sales intelligence to build trusted relationships. So what is sales intelligence? We've been talking a lot about it. We might as well just come right out and say at least how we define it. We think it's the art of knowing relevant, timely, and meaningful insight about your prospect before your competitors. And you could think of a lot of examples in life of where this is, intelligence in a situation is just a given, mission critical, have to have it. And it's funny in sales that this is something that only top performers have figured out. So take, for example, in the U.S. we have the CIA. Now, regardless of what you think about political views of the CIA, we believe as a country that knowing what's going on in parts around the world before other people or before potential opponents do is a way for us to be more successful. Given political views, you might disagree with that, but I think you can see the value of having intelligence in a political arena or in a sports arena where the coach is reviewing the opponent game tapes from the week before so that they know what some of the likely game plans or moves are by the opposing team. I mean, you wouldn't be a coach very long if you didn't take advantage of that intelligence to figure out how you were going to structure your game plan. And it's true in business. If you know stuff that other people don't, you're going to be more successful. It's that old adage of information is power. And we look at things like, your prospect's business issues. What are the things that are driving that business to be profitable or successful? How do they make money? What are the biggest challenges that they face right at that moment to continuing to be successful? What are some of the immediate events that are staring at them that if you knew about them, you could respond or react to them in a really intelligent way? So it used to be that trusted relationships and intelligence were gleaned on the golf course or in bars or restaurants. It's a very high-touch experience. Well, it's just not possible anymore. We're all moving way too fast. We're in a global economy. You just can't rely on the face-to-face to build those relationships. And the new social customer has really redefined how we all work together. Because with the advent of social media and the web and tons of information out there, the customers are smarter than they've ever been before. And there's a concept of, the customer owns the conversation now. Where it used to be that companies could impart knowledge through advertising or literature, and customers would find that very valuable because that's how they became informed. Well, it's not true anymore. We all spend a lot of time searching the web for information about products and services that we want to buy. In fact, as much as 70% of buyers already have their mind made up before they ever interact with a sales rep. So that means that salespeople have to be smarter and more relevant than they ever have before. They have to interact with prospects in social forums or in places where they can establish credibility and maybe have an objective or an educational nature. They can't just try to sell because it just simply doesn't work that way anymore. So there's good news and bad news, like in anything. The good news is, with the advent of all this proliferation of gobs of information, there are clues all over the place that can help a sales rep figure out how to be smarter and more relevant. CEOs, they have company presentations that are now made available digitally on websites. They tweet and blog about things that are important to them and their companies. And even just in what other people are saying about the company, there's lots and lots of information. Take job postings, for example. If you read a job posting online about a company, especially for a senior position, as a sales rep, you are likely to get a lot of very strategic information about where that company is going because they're trying to hire the best and the brightest. But it's not traditionally a place that sales reps would ever think of going to prep for a call. So the bad news is that to a sales rep, it can look like this. It's just so overwhelming to try to figure out, where do I even start to try to get this relevant information and stay one step ahead of the competition. And so that's where InsideView comes in. We saw this trend about 6 or 7 years ago, a very insightful CEO, and his sales team at the time, it was a different company, there was a lot of pain in their ability to get the relevant, knowledgeable insight they needed to be successful. They would go to the company website, and then they would go and do some other maybe trade-related research. And he just said, there's got to be a better way. I can figure out how I can harness all of the goodness and the value that's out there and make it really easy for salespeople to get it at their fingertips. So InsideView is really just that. It's a very simple application that sits right inside CRM in every account, lead, or contact or opportunity record. So a sales rep doesn't have to go out and look for it anywhere. It's just right there in front of their nose. And it starts with company information from some of the world's best sources. And I'll just pause for a minute and let you know what I'm going to show you today in the demo is the North America, well, it's actually a global version of InsideView, but it's not localized yet for the UK, Ireland market. That is actually, the product itself is being released in the first quarter, so after the first of the year. And I'll give you a very specific, some specific information about what will be in that version that's different than what you might see today. But regardless, we start with company information, and then we add contact information. So you've got email address, phone number, social profiles, biographies of key decision-maker contacts across thousands of industries. We add in news from about 30,000 global news sources. We overlay social media from all of the most popular social media applications today, plus blogs. And then we also create some of our own proprietary technology that makes all this information actionable. And our connections feature is something that I'll show you. Very, very powerful way to find warm connections to your prospects. It goes beyond what LinkedIn does. If any of you are using LinkedIn, that's a great place to start, and we do incorporate LinkedIn in our product. but we also go beyond, sort of like LinkedIn on steroids, I guess. And the whole benefit of doing all of this and bringing it all together is that it helps business people get to the right person at the right time with the right message. Excuse me. So a lot of the way this happens today is with a business card, either a physical business card that you get or a list, prospect list that you buy from, some data source. And that's pretty much how people have done it up until something like InsideView became available, because there just wasn't any way to get all of this other stuff in one place. And so what we've discovered is that business card data, just having a name and a contact, phone number, is not a very effective way to reach out and have an engaging conversation with a decision maker. In fact, a recent CSO Insights study was done that said 92% of business decision makers would never take a meeting from somebody that just knew their name and phone number. And so with InsideView, you can see a little snippet of what we will show you shortly in the demo, is that we go way beyond the business card to provide you with more social profiles. Like our CEO, for example, he's a race car driver. And if anybody were to approach him and they knew that he was just crazy about cars and racing, they would have an inside track to get an appointment with him. Even though it doesn't have anything to do with his business per se, it just shows that they have gone and done their homework and know something about him. We also think it's very important to be able to track people and to track companies so that you are the first to know. You get an email alert that tells you when something new has happened that you should know about. And generally that means you'll find out about it before anybody else using a traditional method of discovery does. So when you pull this all together, it comes to a concept called intelligent CRM. And the thinking here is, can your CRM be more intelligent than even the people using it? So we define or redefine intelligent CRM as everything that you need to work smarter and faster and none of the noise. And these are some of the things that we'll show you in the demo. Getting this real-time insight about companies and people, understanding how social intelligence can give you an inside edge, or breaking news that you know that somebody else doesn't know, or having connections that are avoid you having to do any sort of cold calling. The advantage of all of this is that your sales reps will prepare for their calls faster and with more depth and quality than they were able to before. And I've been talking a lot about salespeople. We do see that as the primary audience for InsideView. But you can actually see how this would be really valuable for even anybody that's just having a business meeting. It could be a meeting with suppliers. It could be your CEO who's going out to a social engagement with other business people and wanting to get some quick insight on the people that would be involved in that. Or even in finance, where you want to track and understand the behavior of your customers or your suppliers, and make sure that you know there's not going to be any interruption in your supply chain because you get notified of events of those companies before they hit the news. But salespeople love InsideView, and I have this little quote. I'd actually use this. We hear that all the time. Generally, salespeople don't really like CRM too much. It's kind of a business management requirement that you can track what they're doing and build forecasts and all of that. But once you start to give them tools like InsideView, they turn the tide and see CRM as something that's really helping them be more successful. All right, I am going to pause for a moment and just ask Carl if there are any questions that have come in chat that I should answer before I get into the demo.
Okay, nothing so far, Heidi, so we're okay.
All right. great. Well, let me. Now, are you able to still see my screen so that you can see the demo, or did I just lose everybody because I'm not in the PowerPoint anymore?
Yes, all I can see is the PowerPoint. Oh no, I can see CRM now, Barclays Capital.
Okay, great. I guess there's just a slight delay. All right, so I am going to show you this demo of Barclays Capital, and keep in mind that this is not the UK Ireland version that will be out in January. So, for example, when you see things like revenue in dollars instead of turnover in pounds, you know that hasn't been that's not the version that we're looking at. But everything else will be exactly the same. So the way it looks, the way it sits inside CRM, everything is the same. And I will say we have over 1,000 clients today in the UK. And that's just because the information is very valuable to them, and they can do the easy translation between revenue and turnover. It's not that big of a deal. So we are sitting in the account record for Barclays Capital. And as I mentioned earlier, InsideView just automatically appears. There's no need to go click a lookup or do anything like that. It's an iframe, if you're technically minded, that just sits right in that screen. Now, we automatically match the Barclays Capital in our database with the record, whatever the record is you have in CRM, we automatically match to it. And if for some reason we don't get it right, then you can just click the not the right company button, and the screen, we're on a little bit of a delay here, I think because of the webinar, but we'll bring up all of the other companies in our database that have anything to do with Barclays Capital, and then you can just simply click on the right one and it will refresh the screen, and then from that point forward, that's the one that will always appear when you go to the Barclays Capital record in CRM. Now, this is a tabbed approach, so I'm going to walk through the tabs but also let you know how a salesperson would use this information in each section. The overview section has all of your basic information about the size and description of the company. We also allow you to synchronize this information. If I click on the sync button, you would just automatically go straight into all of the fields would show a comparison of what's in CRM with what we have, and then you can choose to overwrite all the fields or just one. And that is going to take a little bit for the screen to render, so I'm not going to show you that today, but I do have a picture of it when I get back into the PowerPoint. You'll see exactly what that looks like. The benefit of that is, of course, if you only know the name of a company, you can very, very quickly populate 15 fields of other information in your CRM with the click of one button. Very fast. Now, the more interesting part of the Overview tab is down here in the Agent section. So if I'm a sales rep and I am looking for some relevant information about my target that would give me a meaningful contact point, then I can usually find it in these events that happen in the company that I can respond to. So we're looking at leadership changes right now. And these are all of the leadership changes at, or that have anything to do with Barclays Capital in the last 15 days. And you can hover over these very quickly to see if it's something that's relevant for you. You don't even have to click all the way through to the article. And if it's something that you want to share with maybe partners or other people, you can share it via email or other social media very quickly. You know, maybe acquisitions is something that is more relevant, or maybe it's partnerships that is something that you define as a good sales trigger. Whatever it is, we have about 20 of these standard type events, and then we also have an unlimited number of custom ones that can be created for your particular industry. So for example, if you're in pharmaceuticals, maybe new offerings is too generic. Maybe you need to look at a specific drug or a specific type of legislation that's going to be a good trigger event for you. And then we'll send you the news just on that. So you can see how this is a lot more filtered and beneficial than just doing a Google search or a Bing search. where you would get maybe 200 or 300 hits every day on your company target. The section over here to the right is where we have connections and Twitter feeds. The connection through LinkedIn is related to your personal LinkedIn account. So this is going to show me all of my first and second level connections to Barclays Capital. Well, I have no first level because they would be there. I only have second level. And if I were to click on any one of these, it's going to pop me right into LinkedIn. I can see what that connection is. I can quickly see the path that gets me to that connection. And when I'm done, I can just simply close out of it. I've never had to log in and log out of LinkedIn separately. So it's a time saver. This area up here is our proprietary connection technology, and this is going to show me how I might be connected to people that I am not aware of. So if I click on Glenn Boyd, this is telling me that through a reference account of a coworker of mine, Richard Kosevich, wow, he was a director at Cisco, and now he is on the board of the Risk Management Association. Glenn Boyd, who is the head of U.S. Fixed Income Strategy at Barclays Capital, is also on the board of the Risk Management Association. And I know that this is a board position because I've clicked through before, and if I did that now, you would see that as well. But in the interest of time, you'll just have to trust me that these two people are connected in that way. So I could go back through my reference account at Cisco Systems, where I know lots of senior level people, and say, hey, do any of you know Richard? I'd like to get an introduction to Glenn. Well, neither Richard or Glenn are in my social graph. They're not in my LinkedIn. And maybe that's too high a level of a connection for me to feel comfortable engaging, but I can set whatever level it is where these connections can be presented to me. And then I can go back and see if any of those are ones that are relevant. It's a very, very powerful, and I've not given it justice by giving you a 2-minute overview, but it's a very, very powerful way to answer the simple question, isn't there anybody that I know in my company or previous places that I've worked that knows anybody at my target that could help me get there? Now the next tab is the People tab, and that's where we have contact information that can be very easily obtained to just let you know that basically the right people that you want to reach out to. You can see we have, this is looking like about maybe 300 people at Barclays Capital. Clearly there are way more people there than that. And the reason we only have 300 is because we're focusing on decision makers. We purposely keep out of our database individual level contributors that just create a lot more for you to have to filter and sift through, when we think it's a lot more valuable for you to just get to the decision makers right away. Now, all of these are sorted by title, and if I hover over any of them, I'm immediately going to get their email address and phone number. I'll also see if they have a social profile, and I could click right through to their social profile. I'm also going to see all the sources of information that have gone into coming up with this record. Now we call this multi-source contacts, which again is very different than if you buy a list from a list broker, you're getting a single source contact. And generally those are much less accurate than a multi-source contact, where we can find this record in many, many places to validate that it's current and accurate. Now contact data is kind of a nasty business, and it's very hard to keep it accurate because people change so often. And so we will always try to tell you where we found the contacts, how many sources we've used, and the last date that we can validate that that contact was published someplace. And so if we give you a date that's older, that means that you might want to do a little bit more checking. So for example, I just typed in marketing because at Barclays Capital, I only sell to people in marketing. So now, very, very quickly, I have all of the people that are decision makers in marketing, and I can quickly just check out their social profiles and who they are and see if they would be a good contact for me. I can also synchronize all these contacts, either one at a time or in a group, into CRM, so that now I have the contacts right in CRM. The Buzz tab is where I will go to find the most current real-time tweets or blog posts about my target. And I can use keywords up here to filter to just get information, because we all know that on Twitter you get a lot of chaff with the wheat. The family tree is your company hierarchy. If any of you use Dun & Bradstreet or something like that, this is giving you that same view of the ultimate parent company and then all of the subsidiaries that are underneath that parent. And we'll also try to tell you whether you have any connections at a subsidiary level, which might make it easier to get into a parent company. Now, a big difference between us and, say, a Dun & Bradstreet is that Dun & Bradstreet charges separately, and it's very expensive to buy this information. With InsideView, our whole philosophy is that it should just automatically come inside of your account record. There's no separate charge for any of the stuff that I've shown to you. We operate on a subscription basis. It's just like CRM works. It's a per person per month that gets billed annually up front. And ConsultCRM can provide that information to you if you're interested in becoming a subscriber. The news, this tab contains news and job postings. So again, I already told you why job postings could be valuable from a sales perspective. News is, again, this is going to be a lot of news about Barclays Capital. It's a very big company. There's articles every day. So you just want to filter based on keyword if you were interested in whatever your particular interest is with Barclays. Or maybe you want to look at an article, maybe you want to type in one of your competitors and see if there are any articles about your competitor and Barclays, so you have some idea if they're perhaps working together and you didn't know about it. You can track these companies on a watch list, which means that every day you would get one email with all of the companies on your watch list that would tell you any important events that were going on in that company that day. So I don't know if my screen is refreshed for you yet, but here's a sampling of one I got. I think it was yesterday. I like to track a lot of technology companies, and so this is the email that I got that told me there were all these different events that happened at Accenture, Proficient, Deloitte, and Wipro, and then I can very quickly see what these events are, decide if I want to structure my day around contacting these companies based on these events or not. The last thing that I want to show you in the demo is how you can actually build a list of prospects. So right within the application, I can literally just click on Build a List. It's going to actually bounce me out to a browser view because it's easier to display than inside of CRM. And I can choose a geographic territory, countries. The UK, Ireland version will allow you to pick off of a map, just like you see for the US here and Canada. You will have the ability to have a map exactly like this of the UK and Ireland. Just pick the territories that you're interested in and then build your list based on that. Excuse me. I'm going to go ahead and pick one that I have saved for the moment. I picked the East, which is the East region of the US. I've already defined it. I can select based on size of companies. I'm only interested in companies that have 5,000 or more employees. I could have picked 10 employees or 2 or whatever number. I can search by industry if I want. Maybe I'll pick banks and aerospace just to be unique. So it's going to be an interesting list. I can select by type of business or whether or not they're a subsidiary or currently operating. Maybe I only target Fortune 500 or Fortune 1000. Or in public companies, I could even check by their fiscal year end. If I think they might have a little money left over getting down to the end of their year, and I can tap into that. Now, I can also filter this list by agent. And that's where it really starts to get to be a more meaningful list. Let me just first show you what this list looks like without an agent. So there are 12 companies in aerospace and banking in the East region that have more than 5,000 employees, because that was the criteria I set. They're all here very quickly. I can, see what they are, what they do, and I can export them into CRM if I want to. But this is just giving me a laundry list of companies. What I really want to know is which are the companies that have something interesting going on that I can relate to. And so what I want to know is, have they had a leadership change, let's say, any time in the last 30 days? Because then I can reach out, I can congratulate somebody, or I could maybe see if I'm connected to that leader or somebody that knows them. So now if I apply that filter, I'm guessing I'm going to see a much smaller list than 12. I'm only going to see one company. And we regard that as better, because fewer, more high-quality companies in your list are better than a larger list of ones where you don't have any obvious compelling business reason to reach out. So now I can see what the leadership change was. There were a bunch of them. And I can also see that I have some connections to that. Oops, get out of that. I can see that I have connections to BB&T Corporation right here. It's telling me. So now this is a really good opportunity for me to reach out. And you can see that you can get good at that by really understanding which are the criteria, which companies, and I could also have built that list based on contacts. I could have built it based on title, and so it would have returned a list of all of the managing directors of companies in the UK that are in, in banking or something like that. All right, that concludes the demo of the product. Hopefully you've been able to see and really understand the difference between having meaningful intelligence as opposed to what we just call data. And data is what you get from a list broker. Meaningful intelligence is what you get when you have all of this working on your behalf. So let me, oh yeah, I told you I was going to show you what the synchronization screen looks like. So if I had clicked that sync button, it would have showed me all of the fields that were populated in CRM, and then it would have shown all of the fields that InsideView has. I would have been able just to easily click on one or any one of these and then hit sync, and it would have pushed from InsideView one way into CRM. Now, let me just wrap up really quickly with some information about the UK-Ireland version that's coming. And again, keep in mind that we do have thousands of customers already. It's only going to get better from where it is from here. We have been growing very, very fast. We started in 2005 and have many, over almost 150,000 users in many, many countries around the world. So what you'll see in the UK-Ireland version is localization features, as I mentioned before, pounds and euros for revenue and turnover, and then also being able to build your territory of prospects based on the map that I've shown you right here. Our data coverage will include 7,000 or more specific UK and Ireland sources. And I'll show you in a minute what some of those, well, I can show you what some of those look like. I'm sure you recognize, if you are in the data business at all, recognize some of these sources. Again, there will be over 7,000. This is just a handful of some of the major ones that you might recognize. We will have coverage of most companies with at least 5 million in turnover and 50 employees. We'll have government agencies and also the ability to add new companies from any source at any time, because we have a feature that will allow you to go in and just manually add a company. And the benefit of doing that is then we can build all of the rest of the social information that goes with that company once it's added to the database. We probably won't ever have very, very small businesses. So if your company is focused on very small, businesses like maybe restaurants or others, that's probably not a good focus for InsideView wouldn't be able to deliver a lot of information for you on those companies because it's just very hard to get information about those very small companies. And then the people will be, again, what we have today, which is decision maker contacts, not individual contributors. We have a special offer to thank all of you for attending the webinar today. We're happy to extend a 30-day free trial license of InsideView Pro, which is our premium version. And you just need to take advantage of that before the end of the year by contacting ConsultCRM for details. And that concludes my presentation today. So again, I want to thank you so much for your time and attention today, and we'll be very happy to answer any questions that anybody has.
Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed, Heidi, for joining us at this early hour. I hope you enjoy your breakfast when you get round to that. I just wanted to explain within ConsultCRM we use the tool. We use the tool both for our business development guys to understand our prospects, also extracting companies that meet a certain criteria to go out and do lead generation. We also have found it invaluable on our account management side, particularly the tab that Heidi showed, which was the family tree, understanding the other subsidiaries or the parent organization of the company that perhaps have currently for us using Microsoft CRM has given us a great insight and has generated some brilliant opportunities for us. So it really does work, as Heidi said. Even though we're using the American version, there's a few Zs and dollars. The contacts, the email addresses, the phone calls are all still there. I did want to mention that it works on version 4 CRM and CRM 2011. Excuse me. I've got your cough, Heidi. I don't know how that happened. And so if you've got either version 4 or 2011, then have a trial of it. Our guys can either install it on yours or if I can't talk at the same time, or we can give you a demo of our system with the application installed. So hopefully most of you know Oliver, who works on our account management side. There's some phone number and email address if you want to know more about it. Take Heidi up on her trial offer. Then give it a try and see if it can work out for you. Hope you found the seminar useful. So any follow-up questions, then please feel free to pass those through to Oliver, and have a good evening.
Thank you, everyone.